When virtually unrolled, the text on the scrolls was unable to be read. That was until Luke brought his expertise in artificial intelligence to the project.
And you need to use this AI that I've developed to make that text visible and make the ink visible.
Hello and welcome to the DOGE News Channel. My name is Chris. In this video, we're going to meet the DOGE Engineers, or as some people call them, Elon Musk's Wiz Kids. Let's get into it.
Now we're learning more about Elon Musk's small army to cut the wasteful spending. These young engineers were reportedly handpicked by Elon Musk, and the oldest is just 25 years old, and some of them are reportedly still in college.
Okay, so that video was from Fox News, but it did not have their name, so I found this on X that does show their names, and it says, this is the 6-member DOGE team put together by Elon Musk that is tasked with saving billions of American taxpayer dollars. And it only shows 6 of them. I believe there's actually more, but I'm not exactly sure. But here we have Cole Killian, Akash Boba, Ethan Shotran, Gavin Klinger, Luke Ferrator, and Edward Korestein. I believe that's how you pronounce their names. Let's go ahead and learn more about Wiz Kid Luke Ferrator in this video.
The messages were hidden thousands of years ago after a volcanic eruption, but now modern technology is helping bring them back to life. I'm Alex Whitney for 3 News Now here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's campus, where one student, along with the help of some artificial intelligence, has helped shine a light on a long-forgotten piece of history.
So kind of the background on the project starts 2,000 years ago.
For months now, Luke Ferrator has been on a mission to uncover a message that's been lost for almost 2 millenniums.
There was a library next to the city of Pompeii. That library was owned by Julius Caesar's father-in-law, we're pretty sure. And of course, Pompeii happens, the volcano goes off, everything's buried in lava.
Found in the rubble of that library were hundreds of papyrus scrolls. The heat from the volcanic ash and debris carbonized the scrolls, leaving them deformed but preserved. Now researchers and students from across the country are trying to find out what they say, calling it the Vesuvius Challenge.
And they created an online challenge where they said, hey, download the scans here. If you can find writing in them, we'll send you a bunch of money.
Discerning the messages left in the scrolls started with Dr. Brent Sales at the University of Kentucky using X-ray tomography and computer vision.
We start with these CT scans of these scrolls. It's the same CT scan you'll get if you go to the doctor. You start with that scan, and then the first thing you need to do is you need to virtually unroll the scroll. So right now it's like a spiral, like a thing of toilet paper. You kind of have to virtually flatten that and like isolate each square of the toilet paper.
When virtually unrolled, the text on the scrolls was unable to be read. That was until Luke brought his expertise in artificial intelligence to the project.
And you need to use this AI that I've developed to make that text visible and make the ink visible.
It took a lot of trial and error, but Luke's artificial intelligence began finding letters in the scroll. First it was just 1, then 2, then he made the breakthrough discovery that has won him the first prize in the Vesuvius Challenge.
And of the 10 letters that I found, most of them spell out the word porphyros, which means purple in Greek.
Finding the first word earned Luke $40,000 in prize money. But the challenge isn't over yet. Researchers are still offering a reward for the first 4 paragraphs found within the scroll, and Luke wants to be the one to bring the ancient text back to life.
Well, I definitely want to read all the scrolls. That's kind of my current priority, and I just think that's just such an exciting avenue. So I'll definitely be pursuing that long term.
The winner of the grand prize will earn $700,000 in prize money. In Lincoln, Alex Whitney, 3 News Now.
Wow, so this kid develops his own AI in order to read these scrolls. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything like that, especially when I was only like 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever age this kid is. I think he's maybe early 20s. Very impressive, very smart, obviously a whiz kid. Makes sense that Elon Musk recruited this kid. Okay, let's meet one of the other whiz kids.
The answers we deserve demand discomfort. That's what the now 22-year-old Akash Boba said in his graduation speech in 2021. Today, he's one of the experts at the Office of Personnel Management in the US government. That is, in Musk's DOGE team. Basically, he has a government ID, he has access to and oversees sensitive federal information, and he has a critical role in modernizing federal tech and systems in order to cut wasteful expenditure. He attended the University of California in Berkeley, where he was part of the program designed for future tech industry leaders. He also interned at Meta, Palantir, and the hedge fund Bridgewater Associates, where he worked on AI data analytics and financial modeling. In fact, his genius in coding gained viral attention after his Berkeley classmates shared an anecdote in his problem-solving abilities, saying that he had accidentally deleted the entire codebase of their project just 2 days before the deadline, and while he panicked, Akash just stared at the screen and he rewrote everything from scratch within a night. They actually ended up getting first in class. But while his classmate says that he trusts him with everything he owns, the sentiment isn't quite the same at a country level. Elon Musk's DOGE team picks have actually stirred quite a storm because they've assembled a team of young engineers who are just between 19 to 24-year-olds. Most of them are barely out of college and one still is in college. And these kids are responsible for streamlining federal operations, dismantling bureaucratic inefficiencies, and significantly reducing government expenditure to try and save billions of dollars. As per reports, what's particularly striking is the fact that these youngsters have been granted top-level security clearances despite having no prior public service or government admin experience.
Yeah, there's a distinction between getting a security clearance and having government experience. You don't actually need public service or administrative experience in order to get a security clearance. They just do the background check on you and check a bunch of other stuff. And if you're clear, you're clear. It's a green, red light situation, right? There's no real gray area. It's either you pass or you don't. And it doesn't matter what administration you're in, the security clearance are the same. It doesn't matter if you're under Biden, Trump, Obama. The security clearances have been consistent. They're the same. So it does not matter if you have prior public experience or administration experience. I mean, that argument is just ridiculous to me. They passed the security clearance, so therefore they're okay.
This has led to concerns about oversight and security. Musk has defended his squad, saying that they represent some of the world's top software engineers, something which even US President Trump echoed.
Musk has helping him, or as young as 19 years old.
That's good. They're very smart, though, Peter. They're like you. They're very smart people.
Thank you. Have you met any of these guys?
No, I haven't seen them. They work actually out of the White House. They're smart people.
Reports also say that there has been internal resistance within government agencies to Trump's team because some DOGE personnel tried to access classified information at USAID, following which action was taken. As per Wired, the other members of the group also have limited government experience. Most of them have backgrounds in tech internship, with some of them at Musk's own companies like SpaceX and Neuralink. Besides these 6 young engineers, staff from Musk's other companies like XAI, Tesla, and the Boring Company also have key roles at the Office of Personnel Management. This concentration of power in the hands of Musk's associates has raised some alarms. In fact, Democratic leaders in the United States are trying to now push bills to prevent Musk from accessing the government's private data on individuals after the government moved to review USAID and locked out workers from the office building.
In the dead of night. That is not democracy, Mr. Musk. It's letting a small group of unelected people, secret, run rampant through the executive branch, accessing the private data millions of Americans need, and God knows what they're going to do with it. God knows. So there are 2 dangers. One, people's privacy is at stake. Second, that there's a risk that this small group could cut program after program using one excuse or another. So today, Leader Jeffries and I are joining together to push legislation to prevent unlawful meddling.
What are you scared of, Schumer? Are you scared that all of your corruption is going to be exposed? What are you scared of? Why are you afraid of them looking into the data? Why are you afraid of them looking into how our money has been spent? Because you know that your corruption is going to be exposed. It's time for the light to be shown on your dirty deeds.
President, why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs, and we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain groups and certain numbers. Some of the numbers are horrible. What he's found, think of it, $100 million on condoms to Hamas, and many other things that are frankly even more ridiculous. And they're finding tremendous waste, really waste more than anything else, I think you could say. Probably fraud and abuse can be added to it, the more standard waste, fraud, and abuse. But they're finding tremendous amounts of really bad things, bad spending. You've been writing about some of it, frankly, and some of the things that they've been doing is just terrible. But he reports in, and but he does have a good natural instinct. He's got a team of very talented people. We're trying to shrink government, and he can probably shrink it as well as anybody else, if not better.
I bet that money for Hamas condoms actually went to buy material to build their war tunnels under Gaza. What do you think?
Though President Trump did previously attempt to allay fears, saying that Musk can't and won't do anything without his approval, the growing influence of Musk's network, who have access to government systems, remains a source of concern for some in the United States. Whether or not they are actually equipped to handle the complexities of federal infrastructure is something we'll all get to know in the months to come.
Another really impressive kid, Akash Boba. Sounds like he is a Wiz Kid that worked for some big tech giants like Palantir. I hear the concerns about lack of government experience, but honestly, that doesn't bother me at all because I want to see kids that are coming in, and I don't really think they're caring about the government bureaucracy. They have a mission that Elon Musk has given them, and that is to find wasted spending. They're just basically using their tech knowledge to create algorithms to find wasteful spending. It has nothing to do with federal bureaucracy or government regulations or government processes. It's all about searching the databases for wasteful spending, and I think they're good candidates for it. I think this is great. It's kind of fresh eyes, fresh minds. What are they finding? Can they find this wasteful government spending? And then, they're just putting a red flag on it, and it's up to Elon Musk, President Trump, and the government to say, okay, let's stop spending money in this way, or no, this program's okay. Let's spend money here. It's okay. So, putting kids like this, I'm not concerned about it. I think it's great. I think it's going to be a win for the country overall. And it's pretty impressive. There was some controversy regarding one of the Wiz Kids, and that Wiz Kid I don't believe is listed on here because he's referred to as Elez. Or Elez, E-L-E-Z. He also goes by Big Balls on one of his old online profiles, which cracks me up. Of course he does, right? He's a nerd. He's a kid. Big Balls. It's pretty hilarious. But apparently someone dug up some of his old social media accounts, and he had some not so positive things to say. And so it sounds like he resigned. Let's go ahead and find out more about this story.
Will the kids be all right? Well, there's been a shakeup at tech titan Elon Musk's DOGE.
The Wall Street Journal released a report titled "DOGE Staffer Resigns Over Racist Posts." The story reads, Marco Elez, a 25-year-old who is part of a cadre of Elon Musk lieutenants deployed by the Department of Government Efficiency to scrutinize federal spending, resigned after the Wall Street Journal asked the White House about his connection to the account. The Journal unearthed some tweets the outlet says are linked to Elez. The Journal says the now deleted account, called Null PTR, wrote tweets like this. Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool. You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity. I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth. Normalize Indian hate.
Okay, let's pause right here and check this out. So, again, this is posted by, supposedly posted by one of the Wiz Kids named Marco Elez. He was not one of the 6 that was shown on that X post, but this was exposed by some reporter from the Wall Street Journal. And this engineer goes by Big Balls. And some of the posts he said, just for the record, I was racist before it was cool. You cannot pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity. I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel wiped off the earth, normalized Indian hate. So obviously some not so positive things to say. And it sounds like this kid went ahead and resigned after these posts were exposed and the account was linked to him. Let's find out more.
On a lighter note, another one of Musk's hench boys is making the rounds in the news cycle. The reason? His name. Well, his nickname. Wired ran a profile on him yesterday titled, "A young technologist known online as Big Balls who works for Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency has access to sensitive U.S. government systems." But his professional and online history call into question whether he would pass the background check typically required to obtain security clearances, security experts tell Wired.
Yes, he goes by Big Balls. The experts Wired cite say that Edward Korstein, that is, aka Big Balls, could have trouble getting a security clearance due to his past, albeit brief, employment with Path Network.
Wired reports that Path Network has hired a convicted cybercriminal and another hacker known as Cosmo the God, who is a member of a hacking group called UG Nazis. Wired says there's no evidence Korstein crossed paths with them during his employment. According to Wired, some domains Korstein controls through his tesla.sexy.llc are registered in Russia and that another domain had content in Chinese.
I want to go back to that X post because I want to see what Edward Korstein looks like. This is Big Balls. I got confused earlier when I said Marco Elez was Big Balls, but it's Edward Korstein. It's really important that we get Big Balls correct. Okay, here he is right here in the bottom right corner, Edward Korstein. I think actually there's a closer up picture of Big Balls, and I think we need to look at that. Okay, here's another X post. It has more of a close-up pictures. It doesn't have their names. It has their ages. But this is apparently Big Balls right there, age 19. So let's go ahead and go back to the story on Rising, see what they have to say.
Experts say this could also make it harder for Korstein to get a clearance.
Here's a CNN clip last night that's making the rounds.
So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online, so that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside DOGE.
Newsmax host Todd Starnes wrote on X, "The television network that employed Jeffrey Toobin is offended that Elon Musk employs a 19-year-old who goes by the name Big Balls." Musk himself chimed in, writing, "Personally, I voted for Big Balls."
In response to Transportation Secretary...
That's hilarious. If you don't know the story about Jeffrey Toobin, he was caught on a Zoom meeting actually masturbating. A CNN employee, and I think he was fired, but actually CNN probably about a year later brought him back masturbating on an actual Zoom meeting. And they're offended that one of Musk's kids' name is Big Balls. CNN, what a joke.
Sean Duffy's tweet about DOGE helping with the aviation system. Vice Chair of the DNC, newly elected, David Hogg, wrote, "Yeah, let's let a 19-year-old who goes by Big Balls handle the situation." Very confidence-inspiring. Well, we got through the script at least without completely falling around with laughter, just occasional giggling. Well, I think that it's pretty... The Big Balls thing, I think, is indicative of this idea that there are very untested, unvetted people who now are in positions of genuine influence, particularly relating to having access to Treasury systems. I do think it's kind of tricky discussing these two cases side by side, because ultimately whether a 19-year-old goes by a lurid nickname or not is a very different thing from the blatantly racist posts that are appearing on the account linked to, or however we're defining it, this guy who has now resigned and who the tweets have been deleted and he won't comment on what that was all about. I don't think racists should be, it's an appalling thing. There are appalling things that he appears to have tweeted, allegedly tweeted, and that's a problem.
Yeah, he resigned, so that's that, I guess, on his tenure at DOGE. I think that there's been a lot of unnecessary fear-mongering from the media about Doge's access to the Treasury system. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed 3 days ago that they only have read-only access, so they're not in there changing lines of code or deleting programs or things of that nature. And so when the federal judge came out yesterday and limited them specifically to read-only mode, I was like, okay, well, that's already what they only had according to the Treasury Secretary. And then there was a lot of reporting about Elon Musk having access to people's social security numbers and other private financial information, which I found a little bit funny because there are already hundreds, if not thousands, of unelected bureaucrats who have access to social security numbers through IRS, Treasury, Department of Education, Social Security Administration, and all of those platforms have been hacked at one point or another and been the subject of pretty massive government data breaches. So for people to claim that they suddenly care about your private information being accessed by unelected officials when they never said it in the past suggests to me that this is a type of political weaponization because they're not happy about what Doge is doing.
So I don't really agree with that interpretation, as you might expect, for a couple of...
I think she makes a lot of great points there. I mean, yeah, they only have read-only access. They're basically scouring through these databases, looking for opportunities to stop wasting money or looking for wasted spending. And honestly, yeah, there are hundreds of thousands of government workers that have access to our Social Security numbers. And who knows how well they have been vetted. I mean, how many of them have actually taken our Social Security numbers and done things with them? I don't know, but it's a possibility, right? Especially when you have numbers that are that big. And she also mentioned that there have already been numerous data breaches into these data systems. So the fact that the left is kind of screaming and crying about these 6 kids having read-only access, or Elon Musk having read-only access, I personally don't see the danger in it. What do you guys think about it?
Reasons. One is it's not only the matter of being unelected, it's also the issue of security clearances and who has access to these things. The second point is it is to do with, in this case, political appointees, which I think is a different question from career civil servants. And on the read-only matter, I don't find that as reassuring as you appear to do. I take the point that if they have read-only access only, and there has been mixed reporting about that, it prevents them from changing code, but it is still having the capacity to read the information itself. The Treasury payment systems are responsible for around $1 or $2 trillion of payments every year. They at least potentially appear to have access to people's bank account numbers, to their tax returns and things like that. I am not reassured by Elon Musk or Big Balls or this racist tweeting guy having access to those kind of details.
I guess my pushback would be that Scott Bessent, for example, is also a political appointee, right? He's unelected as well. He presumably has access to all of this information, and there's been multiple reports that all of these individuals did get security clearances and pass background checks. I mean, first with
Well, there's a difference. A temporary security clearance, though, is by its nature a laxer thing than the vetting process that is normally undergone for a more serious security clearance.
I mean, maybe, but according to CNN, a source told them that Musk himself has a top secret security clearance, which makes sense. The guy's been working on government contracts related to space travel, so I don't find that all surprising. And then the New York Times reported that everyone who has access to Treasury payment systems as part of Musk's team also passed background checks and obtained the proper security clearances.
Well, to get back to the more flippant element of this, what do you think? Are you fine with Big Balls and his friends having this access?
Yeah, I don't have. I would never begrudge anyone having a sense of humor.
Fair enough.
Okay, so after Marco Elez resigned from Doge, Elon Musk put out a post here. It looks like it's a poll, and he says, bring back at Doge staffer who made inappropriate statements via a now deleted pseudonym. And it looks like there was 385,000 votes, and 78% of the people said yes, bring him back, and 22% said no. And there was actually one pretty important response from J.D. Vance. Let's go ahead and see what he said. J.D. Vance says, here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Elez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people, ever. So I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, Fire him for that. I love that attitude. That is a great attitude. Obviously, you can disagree with his post, but he's a kid, right? How many times do young people post stupid things? I never did that, but there was no social media when I was a kid. I'm too old. But I'm pretty sure almost every kid has posted some stupid stuff on their social media just to get a reaction from their friends. Whether it's to get negative attention or positive attention, whatever. But at the same time, we should not reward these journalists who are out to destroy people, because there's plenty of those people. And that's from the Wall Street Journal. There's some reporter that went out and found this information and just to try and destroy this kid. So he says, bring him back. If the kid is a terrible member of the team, fire him for that. If he's toxic on the team, or if he just doesn't do the work, then fire him for those reasons, not because of some post he made 5 years ago when he was a kid. Obviously, he's still a kid because he's in his early 20s, but when he was a teenager, just give him some grace, right? Give him some grace. Well, there you have it. Some of these kids, these wonder kids, these whiz kids, these young engineers, they're obviously very talented, very smart, and probably somewhat immature. At least they were a few years ago. Right now, they're under the spotlight, so I'm sure they're maturing up really quickly. I'm just afraid for their safety, honestly. I'm hoping that they have a great security team, that they are not fearful for their lives, that they're okay going home at night. Although it does sound like Musk has brought some beds into the White House or into their office, wherever they're working, so that they can continue to work. I bet it's a pretty cool environment, kind of like a startup style of an environment. I wonder if they have games like air hockey and pinball and ping pong, foosball maybe, vending machines with all the chips and crackers and snacks and pop and all that to keep them going. It sounds like they have the proper security clearances. I'm not worried about them having read-only access to all this data. They need access to all the data so that they can go through it and find all of the wasteful spending. I think the liberals are just afraid that their corruption is going to be exposed, and I think that's mostly what they're concerned about. And that's why they're crying so much, is that their corruption is finally going to be exposed. So go Elon, go young engineers, stay safe, find the corruption, root it out. I'm cheering for you. What do you guys think? Are you concerned about their access? Are you concerned that they're young and that they don't have government experience? Let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in watching more Doge videos, I do have a playlist. You can go ahead and check it out right here. Also, if you want to like and subscribe to this channel, that would be awesome. I'm going to give you more and more Doge information almost every single day, so you can go ahead and push on that button right there to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.